Let's see. We are live. Okay. Hello, everybody. I am here. My name is Paige Howell, and I have with us Teacher Hope. And I'm so excited to have her here because so many questions have been going around about organizations. But not only before we jump into more about organizations, Teacher Hope has really been, and I'm going to call you Teacher Hope. I'll call you Hope. Hope because I know Mrs. Hope, whatever they probably call you in the classroom, she has just been a tremendous asset to a lot. She's very helpful, very kind. She gives her time, just like tonight, to help other Outschool teachers as well. And she is sorry, there goes my phone. She is an active part of in social media. She's learning as well as she goes along, but she agreed to come in and talk to us tonight so that we could learn a little bit about running an organization. But I'm going to let her start off and just talk to you a little bit about who is Hope. Who is Hope?
Personally, teaching-wise, what are you asking?
Just tell us a little bit about you, Hope.
Okay, well, I don't even know where to start. I really don't like doing stuff like this. but I can tell you, how I actually got started with Outschool because it's a personal story.
And I think that's a great story, Hope. I think you have a really great story to tell.
So, about 3 years ago, my husband was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and which was the shock of our lives. I mean, here he just had turned 50. I was like 44 or something like that, and we had been married for over 20 years, and it was just a shock when you hear someone that young, and you never think at that age. And when I say stage 4, it was incurable, inoperable. They had told him best case 3 years, worst case a year. And by the end of that year, that November, he was in the hospital, and they had said there was nothing more they could do. So they sent him home on hospice, and he passed away a week later. It was that fast.
Wow.
This was, a few months. It was a year before COVID hit. I had about a year or so of money that I could live off of. I think I needed that time to grieve and figure out and all that. So I took the year thinking, I'll just get a job at a brick and mortar. I mean, I've worked for brick and mortar schools for 25 years. It was no problem. And I lined one up, and then COVID hit. And I was like, okay, my whole life was in shambles again. I literally sat in my room and cussed out my dead husband for leaving in such a bad financial state. And he said he would never leave me. How could he do this to me? I'm going to lose the house. And so my daughter that week came to me and said, have you ever heard of Outschool? At that time, I really had saw a few ads on Facebook. I had no idea what they were, what they were about, how anything worked. And I said, I have nothing to lose, right? Because I mean, either way, I had nothing to lose. So I applied, and at that time it was, COVID had just started. So it wasn't like it took very long to get. I think it took them not even 24 hours to.
They were looking for teachers.
Yeah, they were looking for teachers. So it took them like 24 hours, approved, background check, everything done. But that was in beginning of May. And I needed time to even figure out, what am I teaching? I don't know. I applied not even thinking about any of that. And how I was going to teach and what I was going to do to get myself noticed and all this. So I started the first week of June, and everybody knows summer was hot. I'm not, I don't even take credit for summer because I feel like it was just all handed to us.
You didn't have to work as hard in the summer, that's for sure.
Right. It was easy. You got filled. You got constant emails. You're filled.
Mm-hmm.
And then about early August, was it, when Outschool said make all these semester
Ongoing
classes?
semester.
Yeah, semester classes, make semester classes. People are going to be looking. And so I did that. But by mid-August, it was crickets. And we all know that.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing. I was still doing my summer camp, so I was making money, but I was obviously worried that I was going to be back in the same situation as I was when I came in.
Yes.
How was I going to survive?
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, I did market myself from the very, very get-go. So I belong to many parenting groups, many men. I mean, when I say men, I mean a lot.
A lot.
A lot. I mean, I homeschool my grandchild, so I belong to a lot of homeschooling, and I'm an active member in all those groups. It's not like I just
You just sought them out. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm an active member. I was member before Outschool, and I'll be a member after Outschool, But I started seeing what we call the COVID homeschoolers, the COVID schoolers.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the ones that got forced into homeschooling, right?
Yes.
And they're posting a lot about sending their young children to school for hours and hours, and everybody was against it, and there were so many posts like that. And so I brainstormed for 2 days, and I came up with a couple of classes for our younger kindergarten and first graders, and I ran with it, and I put an ad up, and I filled 8 sections in 2 weeks.
Wow.
And ever since has been going strong. I still have most of the kiddos from the very beginning, by the way.
Oh, that's awesome.
Not a turnaround at all. I'm not seeing a huge amount of turnaround. We're seeing some with schools opening, but not as many as you would think. So that doesn't worry me whatsoever. So that's pretty much how I got started.
So when you say, just real quick, when you say you marketed those classes, when you just kind of describe that, what did you do to market those classes, Hope?
I did several different things, and I do that for a lot of my classes.
Okay.
I do some free in a lot of the parenting groups that I belong to. Either they have a thread, or they also, some of them will let me directly put it up there.
Okay.
But a lot of the times it's really paying attention to the posts that are going on.
Yes.
So you really have to be an active member and read and comment back. And, I get a lot of families from there. So a lot of them are local families, to where I live. But also I do have ads on Facebook.
Okay.
When I first started by myself, I did all my own ads, and I, wrote them on. I did it blog style, where I would pick a topic. So like with the kindergarten classes I actually talked about the fears that parents were having, and how it doesn't have to be that way just because you're online, how you can do a class in 45 minutes of full curriculum every day, and your child can learn as much or even more. And my children actually have way surpassed what a normal kindergarten would in a brick and mortar, because they're already adding, subtracting in hundreds. And I mean, they're just doing phenomenal work, because I only have 6 in a class.
Yes.
It makes a difference, right?
Makes a big difference, yes.
And so I actually used all that to my advantage. I used all the information that I was reading to my advantage and put it in a post. And then I created an ad from that post.
Awesome. So you did use Facebook ads.
I do. And I still do. My organization has a video ad.
Okay.
So
that's awesome.
Which, it has a cute little video that shows pictures of all the things we do. My organization uses all hands-on manipulatives in all their classes. So it chimes in on that. Parents love that kind of stuff when it's hands-on, when it's little little ones.
Yes.
And so when they see that, they click on the video and it sends them straight to a landing page, which gives them our kindergarten options. And you click on one and it sends them right to Outschool to enroll.
So that's see, and all of that you've thought through to me is amazing. And we're going to come back to that because Hope did tell me she does have people that have helped her do that. Someone did design, she didn't design her own website and things like that. She did have someone that helped her do those kind of things. So for those of teachers that are watching this, Hope, that don't even actually know, can you describe to them what is an organization on Outschool?
Okay, so on Outschool, you can have, and it could be even one teacher that teaches with you, like a partner. You create an organization that you're like the head teacher.
Okay. Yes.
You own your own business, you're a head teacher, you employ other teachers to teach your classes. But not only that, my teachers not only are teaching my classes, but they're starting to create their own under me to grow the organization. So there's many ways you can do it. It
So
just
there's many ways you can set it up. And I guess each one probably does a little bit different based on what, you set up kind of in your business plan in doing that. What made you decide you wanted to do an organization?
Well, when I filled all these sections and I'm working from 6:15 in the morning to my last class ends at 4:40 in the afternoon by myself because it was do or die. I was like, I'm by myself. I got to pay mortgage. I've got to pay these bills, and I wasn't sure how well it was going to go. So I'm like, I'm just going to fill as many as I can. And even with raising my prices, there wasn't much more growth I could do because I'm only one person.
Absolutely. Yes. You're only one person.
I can't do any more by myself. And I did think long and hard on it. And I think this is something that you can't just rush into. You do have to think about all the out. There's so much that goes into it. But I knew that I couldn't grow anywhere else, so that for me, adding more teachers was the way to grow.
Okay.
There's many ways to grow, but for me, because of my schedule, that was the best way for me to do that.
Well, and with Outschool, if you think about trying to grow, it's just like what you said, that really is the only monetary way to grow unless you want to teach 24/7. You're only going to make X amount of dollars. But so when you see that you had successful classes and you were like, you know what, then I could help. And you also see a lot of teachers that don't want to create the curriculum. They would much rather say, oh, what, this is a solid class. This is going well. Hope's already done all that for me. I just want to show up and teach.
Correct. And by the way, because I know a lot of people think about when they hire outside, you're thinking outside. All my teachers are Outschool teachers. They teach their own classes as well as Outschool. So they understand how much it can take to create curriculum.
Create it.
So if it's created for them, like you said, for them, it was a win-win. I show up and teach, and I don't have to worry about all the other stuff, which takes me hours to do.
Oh, absolutely. And I was talking about this earlier with someone, is the fact that, and once you build your classes, the more students you have, not only building your curriculum, but the more parent communication you have, the more people that are reaching out to you and wanting information. I know this past weekend was my birthday and I went out of town and I vowed I was not going to do work. I was not going to work. And so I had one parent and she's like, I've been trying to get a hold of you all weekend. And I'm like, I'm so sorry.
Well, Paige, how dare you?
I know, how dare me to go and take 2 days off, and try not to respond.
And coming to that, that's how, realistically, it is a lot of emails.
Mhm.
I mean, I grew very quickly with the organization. I know that a lot are slower going, but I went out with a vengeance and went from 80 children a day by myself in December to all of a sudden in January, 175 kids a day by my with teachers.
With your teachers,
Yeah,
yes.
could you imagine how many emails I get?
Uh-uh. No, I can't. And especially little kids. Their parents are much more hands-on, usually
Yeah.
much more involved, and lots more questions that go into that. So, do you have someone that helps you with that portion of your organization, Hope?
So I have an assistant that helps me out a lot. She does not do emails yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking about even maybe bringing an intern in,
Oh, yeah.
wants to learn about, not only teaching, but making a business out of teaching.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have an assistant. She does all my payroll. She does all my books, matching up payments. So there's a lot that I do give to her.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to parent communication, it's either me or the teacher,
Yeah.
depending on what it is. A lot of times it's the teacher. I look at them because no matter what, I get a copy.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And does that come through Outschool? Did
Yes.
they have it set up that way? Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
So
they have it set
whatever,
up.
well, you
Yes,
get a whole lot of email then.
correct. That's what I'm saying. But I
Yes.
do look through them, and sometimes I look and see how teachers comment and to see just if there was something maybe I could have chimed in and helped on, or if we
Mm-hmm.
could do a little better job about it another time. There's a lot of reasons why, but I'll read through them when I have a chance if it's something like that. But there are many times that I do have to step in depending on what it is.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's what the boss does, right?
Exactly.
Uh,
Exactly.
and that's why you are the head of the organization. Now, I know one of the questions a lot of people have, Hope, is so if you're an organization, teachers are paid through you, and they're not paid through Outschool.
Correct.
So it's just like we get paid. Outschool is paying all those classes to your organization, and then you have to disperse the income
Correct.
to other teachers. Now, when you were setting up your classes, did you keep the classes the same price because of how you set up your teachers, or how did you do that?
I hiked the well, I was thinking about hiking it anyways, but I hiked it up
Mm-hmm.
and it was kind of experimental. I
Mm-hmm.
was
Yes.
like, let's hike up the price. And this was before I even like when I first started hiring teachers, I thought about that. I was like, we're gonna hike up the price. We're gonna see how it goes. So it's kind of an experiment.
Mm-hmm.
But I did not hike it up very reasonably, by the way.
Okay.
Kind of a big hike. I was a little scared at first,
Mm-hmm.
but it hasn't changed anything.
Well, that's awesome.
So, I mean, we're still full. We remain full every week. So I'm not worried about that. And I did hike it up one more time, starting
Since then?
summer. Well, for summer, yeah.
Okay, for summer. Okay, that's great. That's great to
See how
know.
summer goes, and then if it goes well, we'll keep the price for fall.
Mhm. And I guess this is maybe an organization, maybe a little personal question. You can answer how you want, or maybe just give a general. Do you pay teachers per class, per student? And I guess different organizations do it differently. But say you were hiring a teacher, how did they know what they're going to make per class? I guess I would say.
Okay, so number one is you need to check with your state to see
Okay.
what the rules are on. I pay mine as independent contractors because
Okay.
many of them are coming up with their own classes and curriculum and they're doing all that.
Mhm.
And you may and I'm sure this question will probably be next. Well, then why don't they teach them
Yeah.
themselves on Outschool if they're creating their own? And that's because I can fill the classes.
Yes.
It's the name.
Mhm.
It's already made a name for itself. and I've made a name, so they know that I can fill them because they were already on Outschool. They started before my organization, and they see how hard it is to fill. But I do pay my teachers an independent contractor, so they get a percentage.
Okay. So they get a percentage of the class, or however many kids are in your class, and that kind of thing. So they get a percentage of the class.
They get a percentage of whatever Outschool pays me.
Okay. And with that, and I think that was a good thing for you to mention, for anybody that is looking into doing an organization, is looking, how are you going to pay? Can you set them up as an independent contractor? I mean, I would think, having owned a business before, that having an independent contractor, being able to do that is definitely more of an advantage than having to pay them as an employee. Because then you get into having to pay the taxes and everything else on your.
Correct. And then
Yes.
depending on how many hours they work, then we're talking about benefits, health benefits, all that. So, I mean, the best thing to do is check with your state laws, talk to a lawyer, do all the research.
Yes.
This is that's why it took me so long to make the decision if I was going to convert or not.
Yes.
Because I wanted to think over everything, contracts. I mean, there's so much, like I said, that goes into it that you have to think about, not just the pay, but the contracts you give them. Are you going to make sure you have a non-disclosure, non-compete, so they can't run off with your material and teach it in their own classes? And you have to think about all these things. And I helped a few teachers that are starting out in orgs right now, and I always tell them, make sure contracts are, ironclad. You need to have this, and this, and many of them say, I've never even thought about that. And so it's a lot to think about. I did major in business. I have a business degree, so it's easier for me to like have all these things in my head than some. And that's why I do try to help people, because a lot of teachers, they teach really well and they have great classes, but when it comes to the business, they just don't have the knowledge.
And I completely agree with that. I was a teacher and then ran a Sylvan Learning Center for 12 years. And it took me quite a while to step into a business person's role, because teachers aren't trained that way. It's just not really in our DNA either. It's a little bit stepping out of a comfort zone to make what you do a business. As a teacher, we've always just shown up for a job and somebody pays us. And, now as a teacher, and especially like on Outschool, you are your business, and your business is going to do well. If you do well, if you put in the effort, and if you don't, it might not do as well. And I can tell you've put in a lot of time and energy. So you said your Outschool teachers your teachers in your organization were Outschool teachers. How does Outschool vet a teacher that's hired under you, Hope?
Well, when the organization hires a teacher, Outschool doesn't do any vetting.
Okay.
At all. You are responsible to vet your own teachers.
Okay.
And they don't have to go through any kind of application process for Outschool. They're automatically brought on with the org.
Okay.
So, but you can opt to either do your background check throughout, because you just still need one regardless.
Okay. Yes.
Even though they were Outschool teachers, all my teachers had to do a second background check for the org.
Okay.
So I opted to have Outschool do them, because being a business, why would I pay?
Yeah.
Why am I going to pay for it? You can pay for it. That's fine with me. And so they went ahead and they did all the background checks, and every time I hire a teacher, everything is done for me as far as that. But you are responsible to vet your teachers.
Okay.
And make sure that they are a fit for your organization. Because realistically, they are on the Outschool platform, but they are working for you and not Outschool. So that's the difference. So when
Yes.
you're hired on as an Outschool teacher, it's a little different than when with the org, those are your employees, even if
Yes.
they're independent
Yes.
contractors, they're still under you. So you are responsible for them.
Okay, that makes sense. And that's good to know. So Outschool still does require a background check, but they will do the background check on
Yeah.
your behalf. Okay, so that's I like that too. So how many employees do you have now? How many teachers? I know Hope told me she
We're-
hired some and filled it up, hired some more, filled it up.
yeah, I know. It was supposed to be, when I first had this crazy idea of doing this, I had talked to my daughter and I said, "Oh, I'm gonna start out small, 2 teachers." And we filled those classes within 2 weeks. And then I said, "Okay, I'm gonna bring one more on," and we filled hers. And then I brought one more on, and we filled hers in 2 days. And then I was like, "Okay, this is it. I'm bringing one last one on." And so I have currently 5 working, but I hired 2 more for summer.
Okay.
I have one that's going to go into fall with us, and the other teacher is on, depending on how well things do and how things fill. We'll talk about summer later on. So when I did my contracts for my teachers, all my teachers only went up until the last day of my ongoing kindergarten classes, which was May 28th.
Okay.
So all their contracts end. Then they have to renew them with me.
Okay.
So they either have a choice. Are you going to stay on for summer and fall, or just summer? Those are things you have to think about too. Like, how long are your contracts going to be? Because what if a teacher doesn't work?
Yes.
And how are you going to handle that? And I do have a teacher that I will not be bringing back. And you have to think about those things, like
Yeah.
how to terminate their contracts and what would make you want to terminate their contract. And it doesn't have to be always something that is going on in the classroom, but there's a lot of other things that can
Absolutely.
you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. So, with that being said, Hope, with the teachers, when would you say, or just when would you say, if someone was asking, would be a good time, or when should a person be consider an organization?
I think if you're at the point where you're filled to the max and you can't work any more hours, you don't, or overdo any more hours, that's a good way of growing. Like you said, there's no other really avenue of growing after that unless you hike up your prices, but you can only do that so much without either losing out on children. You don't want to do that either. So I think you have to think about that. But I think there's so much you should think about before you even go down that road.
Yeah. Well, and it sounds like there's a lot to research. And I remember I had spoken with Hope a while back about something else, and she said you can go into applying with Outschool as an organization, and you can go through all this work of becoming, an LLC or however you set up your business, and there's no guarantee that they're going to allow you to be an organization.
Correct. And for me, it wasn't just a LLC. I forked out the money to become an LLC. I forked out money for a video ad because I wanted to roll out this and make it. I have a business plan and I try to stick to it, to what I want to make each month. And so I wanted everything in line. And like I said, I have a business degree, so I'm like really focused on what steps to do. And so I forked out quite a bit of money at first because the website cost me. And
Yes.
and there is no guarantee that they're going to say yes, and approve you. And if they don't approve you, they don't tell you why.
Just like when they don't hire you, they don't tell you why, right?
So you have no idea what it is they're looking for, or what, but after I did get denied my first time, by the way.
As an organization? Well,
Yeah.
that's okay.
So but
But you don't know why.
I do know why, because
Okay.
well, I happen to have a contact there. So make friends in high places. That's what I always
Yeah,
say.
yeah, no.
So I talked to her and she told me exactly why. It was number one. It was before I knew you. It doesn't say you have to have a website, by the way. Outschool's description on applying for an organization is very vague. Very, very vague. It does not give you all the information you really, really need to know before you apply.
Mm-hmm.
And so the number one thing was, like she said, was you need a website. And so I made the website and then I got approved. But there's so many reasons. I'm working with a teacher now that didn't get approved, and she found out her reason because she said she just kept emailing them. She was like, I'm going to bug them until they tell me. And hers was because they wanted to know more about how she was going to train her teachers and all this and it's a lot. I mean, how
Mm-hmm.
much they want to know, how much education they want to, and I try to run through it with her and explain to her exactly how to word things. It's also a lot of knowing how to word things.
Yeah.
The
Mm-hmm.
more professional you sound,
Yes.
the more they're going to look at it. Another thing they look for is they want you to be able to bring in business.
More business. So they're looking for more. Yes.
They're
Yes.
looking for you to be able to say, I do this and this and this to bring families in onto the platform,
Mm-hmm.
because they just don't want you to come in and, um, gain, grow your business through all the Outschool families. They want you to
Mm-hmm.
be able to bring in your own business as well. One of the reasons why I did the video ad
Mm-hmm.
was to know that we were also bringing in, that's how we bring in our families from
Mm-hmm.
outside. So there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot you have to think about. How are you going to bring in families from outside? um what kind of training your teachers are going to get. Are you For my teachers, we do a monthly meeting once a month on Sunday. It's about a 2-hour, 3-hour meeting. We do some training. We do a lot of, I'll do a PD class for them. So there's a lot of things that I do for my teachers as well.
And do they, when you were trying to train your teachers, because I know, these were your classes, these were your babies,
Right.
how did you transfer that knowledge over, and that, they're not Hope, of
Correct.
course, they are another teacher, but how did you transfer that over and help them see how you teach?
So, the main thing that I think that I loved that I did was I had my teachers come and observe one of my classes, and they can do that once they're hired as your teacher and the background check is cleared.
Mm-hmm.
You can have them come in and observe one of your classes, to as many as they want, as many
Okay.
you set up. So I set it up to where they came in, I had them shut off their camera, shut off everything. No one knew what they were there. I did let the parents know that,
Mm-hmm.
I've hired some teachers and they're going to come observe the class, but they'll be on mute. That children won't know they were there because there's nothing's going to show.
Okay.
So we did that, and they all, were able to watch me in action a few times. And then
Mm-hmm.
from there, we did a lot of video training and a lot of, on Zoom training and stuff like that. So overall, I'm really pleased. I've had a lot of my teachers have gotten really good 5-star reviews. We haven't had any bad reviews or anything like that coming through. So I'm really happy with who I hired.
Mm-hmm.
I was blessed. You
Yes.
know, I mean, I do, because like I said, my teachers want to grow the organization, and they're coming up
Mhm.
with ideas of ways to funnel in kids from different classes. And I also have teachers that, they started with a couple little preschool classes, and they wanted extra money, and
Mhm.
their classes were okay, but they weren't filling all the way. And that's why they
Mhm.
came to me, because I know that I could fill them. And they came to me, and now what they're doing is, like, their children are growing out of those classes. So they're funneling kids from their classes into the organization.
Okay, that's terrific.
So that's, we're helping each other in a lot of many different ways.
Well, it
So
sounds like you got a really good team. And I know, Rebecca, you must have jumped off for a minute. How many teachers did you say you have right now? Hope, how many are working with you? Yes.
how many are actually teaching at the moment?
Yes. How many do you have teaching at the moment?
5.
5. Okay. And the other question, because I can see these questions here, when you did hike up your classes, and this is really outside of an organization as well, is teachers that are seeing more filling of their
Mhm.
classes. Did you say I'm going to hike it up a dollar amount, or did you do it a percentage? How did you decide what you were going to hike up?
I always take my classes and figure out how much. So my classes are not an hour,
Okay.
they're 45 minutes. So
Mm-hmm.
I figure out how much it is per hour we're making.
Mm-hmm.
And I go up depending on per hour. So for instance, with my one of my the 5-day class, we went
Mm-hmm.
from $50 to $65 a week.
Okay. Okay.
So it's not like, I know I see a lot of people say, well, hike it up a dollar, a week, or a dollar per class. No, mine was quite a bit, you know. But
Well, in the big scheme of things, and I think it goes back to the research that you say, what does it cost to put a child in a pre-kindergarten class or a
exactly,
kindergarten class,
exactly. Hmm.
and to be able to keep them at home and keep them safe right now and not have that fear, and know that they're going to see the same teacher showing up time after time again.
And for me, I think I looked at my worth, and I was like, well, I'm worth at least
Yes.
$20 per hour per
Mm-hmm.
child.
Yes.
And that's what where our range is between 20 and 30 per
Mm-hmm.
hour per child right now.
Okay.
So, and the funniest thing is, so I'm going to say this, and it's just pertaining to all classes, not just organizations, is not that long ago, there was a conversation on one of the groups, and it wasn't this one, and it was a parenting one. It might have been
Mm-hmm.
the official, the parenting one. And
Mm-hmm.
many parents went on there and said, when I see a really cheap discounted class, I pass it by. And I know that a lot of us think that the way to fill it is to come on and, you know, offer free classes and go to the discounts groups, which is, yes, there are, depending on what you're
If
looking
you're trying to get
for,
started or something, yes, to grow.
and what
Mm-hmm.
your goals are. But I believe, to me, and this is all my personal, feelings, is it's kind of bad business to depend on discounting your classes, because you get in that mode where you're always thinking, well, I need to fill this, so I'm going to discount it. I need to fill that, so I'm going to discount it. And then at the end of the day, what are you really making?
Mm-hmm.
Are you making what you're worth? And so, also, like I said, that parent really opened my eyes, and that's when I hiked my price, by the way. Was after I saw these parents say that. Quite a few of them were saying they just pass them by, because they always wonder, why is it so discounted? Why
Mm-hmm.
can't that teacher fill it? Not realizing that there's many reasons we don't fill it. It
Yes.
could be time of day. It could be that we just feel that we don't need that much we're just doing it
Mm-hmm.
as our little side gig, or there could be many reasons for it. But if you're looking to grow, I really think that when you go to hike up, you really do need to think about pricing.
Mm-hmm.
I see a lot of teachers ask that. They always ask, they say, I don't know how to price, or I don't feel comfortable pricing.
Well,
And
and I think that comes back again a little bit to, as teachers, it's hard to come up with a business number kind of. But I think it does go to what you say. I mean, what do you really feel is your worth? What are you
right,
providing to them? And I think different classes lend to different things. What is your expertise? What is your background? What have what do you offer to these students? It does really change the price, but that's really good to know about the pricing. And I guess I'm kind of like that a little bit. I think, oh well, why is it so cheap? I start to have that skepticism a little bit too.
what I'm
Like,
about to
okay.
get there. And see, I
Yeah.
never, I never really thought about it that way.
Mhm.
But it kind of opened my eyes to like what parents are thinking.
Mhm.
And we need to, that's why I do, like I said, I belong to a lot of different groups, not just Outschool groups, but regular parent groups, because I want to know what parents are thinking in order for me to have my business grow. I need to know exactly what they're all feeling right now.
So
Because
one of the questions is there a rule of thumb you might recommend for teachers? Or, I know you have a business background. You kind of said, okay, I'm worth this. And do you kind of grow from that? You kind of decide this is what I feel like my class and my time and what I'm providing is
look at it
worth.
as class too. So
Mm-hmm.
I do look at the class and say, well, what do we do in this class?
Mm-hmm.
And I do have a lot of PBLs, which
Mm-hmm.
take a huge amount of work and time. You
So
have to,
tell me exactly what is a PBL?
oh, project-based learning. So I
Okay.
have a lot
Yes,
of
yes.
older kids that we do project-based learning
I got
classes.
you. Yes, I got you.
So
Yeah.
there's a lot that go into those because it's an ongoing project that you have to constantly build onto. So
Mm-hmm.
there's many hours of planning, and so you need to look at all that. How long does it take you to lesson plan?
Yeah.
You know, uh, is how long a week is it taking you? For my class, for my kindergarten, it takes quite a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Each week is different. Each month we change our theme. So I'm changing letters, all this stuff. I'm also sent out a weekly newsletter to all the classes so they know exactly what they have to have on each day. So all those things take hours. So I
Mm-hmm.
have to not only don't just calculate how many hours you work on Outschool, but calculate your total amount of hours you're working together with planning curriculum, doing your emails to teach. All that needs to be considered when you look at price. You can't just think about your time that you're on Outschool teaching.
Well, and that I like that. So I came to the online world working for VIP Kid, and you are paid X amount of dollars.
Right.
And so I made sure that I was I was being done at this time. Because by the time if you were getting paid, let's say $10, just go $10 for a half hour class. If it took me another 30 minutes to do that, then really I was making $5 an hour.
And that's
You
what
know?
I'm saying.
Yeah.
You need
So
to
yeah.
calculate everything. You can't just
Hmm.
say, oh, well, I'm going to charge, you know, $5 for this circle time class because it's only 30 minutes or 25 minutes. But
Hmm.
how much time is it taking you to prep for that class? How
Yeah.
much time are you spending on emails for that class?
Hmm.
For two parents, all you need to think about everything. Are you putting money out of your pocket for things like ink? Do you print out things? Do you,
Yeah.
laminate things? Do you buy things to use in the classroom?
Hmm.
So you need to think about the whole picture
Hmm.
when you price, so you don't put yourself in a position where you're losing money.
No, and I think that's a lot of people don't, they look at just that and not what it takes. Now, I know with a lot of my ongoing classes, I spend a lot of time up front preparing most of the curriculum, and now I'm teaching them, so I don't have as much prep for them. But it's still what I did put into the time and the energy to get these classes ready, and the time and the energy, because some of my classes, they get stuff after class that I have to send
Mhm.
out to them. And definitely share with them. So to me, Hope, I think what you're doing is fabulous. I think you are not only helping, we talked about this a little bit just beforehand, is there are a lot of teachers that come onto or a lot of people that come onto the Outschool platform, and they don't want to create their own curriculum. And so I think this is such a great place for them but now you said you've got them, maybe they feel now a little more comfortable about creating some curriculum, and they're working to kind of grow along with your organization. Now, I guess different organizations may do it differently. Maybe some don't allow them to create their own classes. I don't know.
Correct. Everybody
Um,
wants it differently. And when I
mhm.
they can't submit a class without me looking over it because first of all, there's no option for them to do that.
Yes.
There's a lot
And
of
now,
things.
is that in their contract?
Well, it is in their contract, but it's also not an option for outschool. Like they can't
Oh,
actually.
they can't
They
just do
don't.
it anymore.
They can't even. There's a lot of things that when you're a teacher on Outschool, you're able to cancel classes, and you're able to share the video when they can't do any of that. The admin has to do it.
Okay.
So
Okay.
they have to submit it to me. I look it over, then I have to submit it.
Oh, okay.
And so there's a lot of different things. Like they can't see my stats. They have no idea how much we make. They have no idea any of that, which is
Okay.
should be that way.
Yeah, that's a business and it should be. Yes.
Right. So it is set up to where there's a lot of things that they don't see. And there's even some parent emails they don't see. They're
So when you say they cannot, so they come up with, like, if I decide I want to teach a new class, I submit it to Outschool. But
correct.
because they're under your organization, they submit it to you and the organization submits the class.
Correct.
But they cannot be working on their own on Outschool too, or is that part of your contract?
Well, they can still work on Outschool either way.
Okay.
A lot of them, like, so a couple of them, they are teaching on Outschool, but they can't fill.
They're not having the same momentum.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
they can't fill their classes like that, and maybe they struggle coming up with curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can have an idea for a class, that doesn't mean that you can actually run with it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And some of them need some help along the way. And I've even have a teacher this weekend who, after our meeting, had stood on with me
Mm-hmm.
for training, and she said, by the way, I wanted to let you know that I just, after teaching your math curriculum, I looked at my preschool math, and I feel like I was doing them like a disservice. And I feel
Oh,
like
wow.
she's like, I have started weeding them out and weeding them to you, and I'm going to close down that class because I feel like the idea was great, but I think that she just couldn't come up with, or some people just don't know the
Yeah.
new methods or different
Mhm.
methods, and you find out, well, wow, we could do it this way. And so it really depends on what the teacher looks at and how they look at it, of why they stay with the organization.
Mhm.
you know so there's
But it
many.
sounds like you must do a good job of paying them as well. I mean, whatever your
They make
percentages.
a great, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I pay my teachers well.
Mhm.
They know I pay them well.
Mhm.
They have came to me and said, we've crunched the numbers. There's no way we can make this at a brick and mortar. So I am paying them very well.
So it's a good thing for them to transfer some of those teachers, or some of those
Right.
students over to you. because they're getting full classes now. So it's really a monetary benefit to them.
Correct.
When you're looking at it.
And I think that's the part too. You have to know how you're going to pay your teachers and what you're going to pay your teachers. And I actually just saw a conversation on the I don't know if you belong to the Diamond Club.
No.
So
I'm not a Diamond Club member, but I'd like to be a Diamond.
Yeah. The Outschool Diamond Club.
No, yes. No, I'm not a member.
Okay. Well, it was a conversation on there. This exact conversation. Someone had said, I can't find teachers for my organization. And then it started
because of the payment, probably.
Well, we weren't sure. We were trying to ask her, so and we had someone had mentioned, well, maybe you need to think about upping what you offer them. She's like, and which is true. You may be able, like, our contracts are not going to last forever.
Yeah.
Okay? So if you're trying to grow and you want to make things work, maybe offer a little bit more, and as you go, and I'm gonna let you in on a secret, and hopefully none of my teachers are watching this.
Okay, hopefully not.
So the first few teachers make more of a percentage than my second and third and fourth.
Okay. And
so I started out with the first two teachers saying, I'm going to pay this percentage. And then I said, I think that I deserve a little bit more after saying how much work I had to do.
Yeah.
I was like, I think I need a little bit more. So you maybe start off doing a certain percentage. And as you grow, you can get, offer less. But you also have to think about if you're going to offer very little,
you're going to get very little.
Thank you. You're going to get very little. And I think that that's the thing. You have to realize that if you're going to offer them a great amount and you offer them great training and all this other stuff besides, like I had whoever had kids, I was like, your kids can, have free tuition, things like that. They want to stay. They want to really make it grow. It's just like at any normal job. If you were, getting paid well and you were getting all these little benefits, you'd want to stay, right? So it's
absolutely
the same way with an organization. You need to make sure that you treat your teachers with that same thinking. You want, and you're going to get what you pay for.
Did you set yours up, Hope, as more of a percentage of the business? Okay, so you did that from that perspective, more percentage based.
It's like independent. Yeah, we did.
Percentage. Okay, percentage on them
of whatever Outschool pays me.
Yes. Okay.
And it's worded like that in the contract. Like I said, it depends on state because every state is different, and some states won't allow you to do it that way, and some states won't allow you to have them as independent contractors. So you really should check with the lawyer, check with your
before you even dive down that hole.
Exactly. Yep. Before you even you need to really think it through. I have a list of things. I should have had it typed out for you. You could have posted it somewhere, but maybe we could post it on the page later on or something.
Yeah, share that. That would be awesome.
Things one list tells you everything you should have before you even apply, and the other list is things to think about. With your teachers and contracts and all this stuff, because you don't want to make a bad mistake because you always paying for it down the line.
Absolutely. Well, and it sounds like you thought through so much of it before you got to even the point. You had it all kind of worked out, it sounds like, except for dotting the I's and crossing the T's. So
I mean, I have a total business plan every month. I go through it every month, and that goes for every Outschool teacher, I can say, is have a business plan. If you want to grow, write down your goals. How are you going to do that? Your idea, have it all written down and stick to it.
Mhm.
Because if you don't have a plan, it's hard to grow if you're just trying to throw it all together as it comes. You have to
Yeah.
really have a plan, and I think that will help you, and a goal. Everybody should have a goal.
I teach my study skills kids that. I'm like, if you don't write it down, you're less likely to
To do it.
accomplish that.
Yeah.
It's kind of just a little thought back here. It's not, I tell them, I go, put on a sticky note. I want it on your bathroom mirror. I want it on your wall in your room. I want it on the
Right.
refrigerator so that you're continually reminded of what your goal is.
Exactly. And so I think that I do mentor some teachers, yeah, on top of my organization, and
Mhm.
1,000,000 hours, I mentor some Outschool teachers.
Well, you're so kind in that and doing that, Hope.
My way to give back. I don't charge. Teachers always ask me, how much do you charge? And I'm like, I don't. And I don't even know are there people out there charging for that?
Oh, yes.
I don't know.
Mhm.
I
Yes.
just I couldn't do it. I just felt like it wasn't something I could do. I have Zoom meeting with them. We write down our goals. We write down how we're going to, what our plan is and our steps, and
Mhm.
what type of classes are we going to create next. And I had one that I had a Zoom meeting with, and we talked for a while, and then um, he must have got busy teaching, and then he messaged me a few weeks ago, and he thanked me, and he said,
Aw.
in December I made $80 on Outschool. And he said, in January, I made like maybe a couple hundred. He's like, since you helped me, I've made $2,000 this month.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
thank you. I was like, you don't have to thank me, you're welcome. And I do it because I feel if I can teach others to how to bring new families on, it's going
Mhm.
to benefit all of us. Down the line, someone may take my class. Down the line, that teacher may have a child that she can put in my class, or know somebody. So we can all help each other. I don't feel like, yes, it's a business and we're competitive, but that doesn't mean we have to not want to help each other.
No, I completely agree. And if you are watching this, I would highly recommend that you shout out school from your rooftops because, like Hope said, the more students we get on the platform, the more students we are all going to teach. Maybe they take your class for a little bit, then they take Hope's class, and they take my class. It just is going to create even more students for us as teachers on the Outschool platform. And I'm going to answer, there's two questions on here, and I want to just answer these real quick. And I want to give Hope some time back because she is busy and she was so kind to do this again. Do you think that full grade level curriculum is more successful in an organization than just normal individual classes? So like a full grade curriculum. So like developing a first grade curriculum or a second grade curriculum.
For a whole year, you mean?
Yes.
Okay, so ours is a whole year,
Okay.
but it's ongoing,
Mm-hmm.
though it's a whole year, because the way it's set up,
Okay.
we still have it as ongoing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it depends. I've found more success in it, but I think it really depends on what every teacher's situation and what kind of classes, because our classes are really different and unique in the way
Mm-hmm.
we teach them. That's one of the reasons we have such a big, we have waiting lists. We have because we teach differently than
Mm-hmm.
any other classes on Outschool. But I think that if you're going to do it, I would definitely try to do it as ongoing,
Oh
because
yeah.
you have an option. You're giving them an option, first of all, to pay every week, which
Mm-hmm.
parents love. Number
Mm-hmm.
one, and number two is, um, even if that parent has to leave, you can always fill it again.
Yeah.
And with when you do it as a multi-day and you create a whole year's worth, if you are going to do it that way, I think breaking it down into little chunks so it's more affordable.
Yes.
Because I definitely would not do like a whole year and charge for the whole year.
Mm-hmm.
Even by semester, 16 weeks is way too much for some parents to come up with. So I would definitely give them into as little chunks,
Yes.
to be able to do a whole year. But offering a whole year is good because then those parents that do like you will come back.
Mm-hmm.
I've had parents that the same parents now in 7 of my classes out of 8 of my original classes that have been there since the very beginning. And they're like, we're in this for the long haul. And some of them have already asked me, so what is the plan for next year?
I remember we had that conversation. I'm like, if you're doing so great now, Hope, you need to do first grade. You need to keep the train going here, the momentum train
Exactly.
going.
And we are. I
Mhm.
hired a teacher for that. But, I just think if you're going to do it, you need to really think about pricing and how are you going to do it and the way you're going to do it. And how are you going to stand out too? I think that's a big thing. Is how do you stand out from the rest? Because I see there are a lot of semester classes that go through a whole year of curriculum. So, like in any class, you need to figure out how are you going to stand out and how are you going to make that description sound so enticing to parents that they want to try the first semester, and how to make that class go well so they keep going to the
Coming back.
next and the next. Yeah,
Then they keep
exactly.
coming back. The last question for you is, what do you have specific things that you look for when you're hiring teachers?
I do, just because the way and how we teach our classes.
Mm-hmm.
Look for either a Montessori background
Okay.
or a teacher that because I do a lot of PBLs, I look for teachers that have ran them in their classroom, that
Mm-hmm.
know how the schedule goes, how to keep kids interested and wanting to keep, because they're in a PBL, you're basically having kids run their own business.
Yeah.
So you have to have a lot of knowledge of different
Mm-hmm.
things. So I do look for that. I also look I make sure that if they're an Outschool teacher, I have them give me their profile.
Mm-hmm.
I look at their profile, look at their education background, um, and I look and see. I'm not gonna lie, I do look through their reviews.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You want to do that, right? You have to
Yes.
look. Is there anything that really sticks out? And we all get that 1 star, by the way, right?
Yes, we
You know,
all do. Yeah.
we're
We're
all
not
gonna
going to
do.
please everybody.
Correct. But it depends on what I think is said on there more than the stars, the number of
Yes.
what is really being said. But mainly for me, I really prefer someone that knows how to use hands-on manipulatives and or has a Montessori background, because you really have to know and how to jump from one thing to another, and we're constantly changing out the manipulatives we're using. We may use one for 7 minutes and then boom, we're on the next thing for the next 7 minutes. I mean, these are kindergartners, so I have to constantly keep them engaged. So
Mhm.
it's a lot of shifting to different things along those 45 minutes. And so I need someone that can definitely be fast paced and know that they're able to do all that. They're able to get to the next thing and get to the next thing and get it all done. And so I do have a long list of things that I ask them about and we talk
Mhm.
about, and I share with them exactly how the classes run. And sometimes it's not for them because it is something where we're using all this stuff, which I must say, I also do supply my teachers with all those manipulatives.
Okay. So you don't ask them to go out and buy the manipulatives.
No.
But I will tell you, so Hope does use a lot because she is a hands-on project-based learning. She does her teachers do or her parents do purchase the kits that they use in her classroom. So they have also like a supply fee along with what they are doing, but it's a semester long, pretty much, or year long supply fee that they do.
Correct. Yeah, they all have little kits to buy, but parents don't seem to mind because I mean, we have 175 kids each day, and
Yeah.
every day, so they obviously don't mind. I do have great parents. They actually really like that we use all that because they learn, and they're also occupied with their time. So even if I'm working with someone, they're over here playing with their little, manipulating them. They're learning on their own, not even realizing they're learning half the time. And so I'm able to spend a little time with each child easily that way. So yeah, my parents actually are really good about that.
And when you were thinking about the price increase, actually, there's two more questions. When you were thinking about the price increase, did you think about instead increasing your number of students per section?
No.
Okay.
I'm against, I will never do that. We max out at 6. Our families love that we max out at 6. We are able to give much attention to each child because of that. And the way our classes run is I want them to be able to interact with me and the other kids.
Yeah.
And I think that if any more than 6, it's just too hard to give them that time. And not only that, but they seem to be learning a whole lot, And I'll be the bad guy here real quick. Also, I have a grandchild. I homeschool her. And I look for classes for her. I do not put her in classes that are above 6. It's just, if I wanted to put her in a large class, then she'd be in regular school, right? That was the purpose of me choosing to homeschool her and outschool, was to keep her in a small class and make sure that she's learning as much as she can because there's so little children. And many parents look for that. And when I was deciding my class size back in August, I did go through parent comments and I polled parents and everything. And they all agreed that max 6 was the most that they wanted to also sign up for. I think that's important it depends on what type of class.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I'm not, we teach 5-year-olds. I can't imagine a class with 12, 15, 5-year-olds.
Yeah, and getting the value out of some of it.
Right. And that's one of the things too, that if you think about the price hike, I only teach 6. So I have to make sure that the parents know that we're paying because this teacher is cutting off that point at 6. So if I start adding children, it changes the class, and I don't want to lose those parents that have grown to love us, because that is one of the things that that's on our website. That's one of the things we market is our small class size.
I like that. So do you teach personally outside of your organization, or
Nope.
do you just teach within your organization?
I just teach within my organization.
And were you able to keep your stats to come with you, Hope?
So there's 2 ways to set it up. And this is what you need to think about as well, is you can convert your whole Outschool teacher page into the organization. So then all your stats and everything comes with you.
Okay.
Or you can keep them separate. So it's your choice.
Okay. So you can start over and have.
Right. But then you have to think about certain things. Okay. So if you start over, you're starting from scratch. You're starting from no reviews. You're starting from nothing. And so I've seen a lot of, there was a few teachers that had commented that did start that way and said, I wish I wouldn't have, because it's like I'm starting all over. I'm having that struggle to fill classes because I don't have reviews and no one knows the name and, all those things. So you have to think about how and why. Why do you want to keep it separate? Is there a reason? There are some reasons that people are like, well, if it doesn't work out, I just want to go back to being, I don't have to go through the process all over again. So it really depends on what you want personally.
Okay. But you have the option to keep
You
it. So
have
that's
the
good.
option.
That's good to know.
You need to tell them that option in the very beginning. Because once it's set up, once it's set up and done, once you're approved and it's all set up, they cannot go back and change it.
Yeah.
So you need to think about all those things and how is it going to affect your business as well. So that was the one thing. And also, I know this wasn't brought up, but organization name, that makes a huge thing too. And what I did was I did a DBA under my LLC. So my organization name has our name is Brighter Days Learning, because that was my business prior to this that I used for TPT and all that. I put it a DBA as Brighter Days Learning by Hope Melendez, so parents could still find me.
Okay.
And also, I made sure that I told all my parents Oh, sorry. I'm just reading of something on my phone.
No, you're good. You're good.
I told all my parents that I was this was going to happen. Once I found out I was approved, because once you get approved, like it's really quick. You get it set up really quick, so it happens within a few days.
Oh wow. Okay.
You want to be able to tell, especially ongoing classes. I let my parents know, hey, you're going to see a name change. And it's because, we turn into I turn into an organization. I have other teachers that teach under me. I explained how it works. I explained to them if they want, if they sign up for a class, number one is, I don't know if everyone knows this, but you will not see who the teacher is until you're enrolled.
Oh. And did you have any issues with that? I guess I should ask that.
I've had one so far, and that's it. If it's my personal children that I see sign up for a class that's not mine, because I get all the emails when they do sign up, I usually email them and say, hey, so-and-so's mommy, I'm not teaching that class. I just want to let you know, in case you're thinking it's me, it's this teacher, but she's a great teacher. I think she would enjoy it. And some parents say, well, then we're not interested. We want you. And if I can make that happen, I do. If they're one of my ongoing kids and it's for a camp, I'm like, okay, well, don't worry. I'm going to teach at this time, at this day. We'll just transfer you over to that class. So I've done that, but I've only had one parent sign up and say, well, we were hoping to get you. But here's the thing. If she already knew how that she couldn't see the teacher. She didn't quite email me and say, we're looking for a class with you. She kind of played Russian roulette and was like, and so you rolled the dice. You didn't get me. There's nothing I can do about that. I'm full. I'm still at like 85%. The same kids I started back in August. They're not moving anywhere. So you're not going to get me, most likely.
But a lot of people are now signing up, never had you, right? So they don't have that. Yes.
Right. And that's the thing too. I've gotten a lot of new families. I don't have that issue, but that is a big issue. Now, Outschool is working on that.
So that they could see who the teacher was.
I work with, when you have an organization, you get an account manager. And I voiced it to her way before we had a Zoom meeting. This is when I first started. I said, look, I've seen on the
Mhm.
parent page, like I said, I read a lot of posts. I've seen parents post that they won't sign up for an organization class because they don't know who the teacher is. And she had said, that's good to know because we don't see those, so we don't know. And I said, well, yeah, there's many, and it's not the first conversation. It's happened before. So I brought it up to her then, and then she said, I'm going to bring it up to Outschool. And then when we had our meeting a few weeks ago, her comment was, we're working on it. Number one, when they set this up, they've only had organizations for a year now.
Yeah.
They did this in summer because they just were trying to help museums and these ballet studios and all these things that couldn't do it because of COVID.
Mhm.
I don't think they had it in mind at that point to get it to grow so much as it has.
Mhm.
And now they're kind of like at the point of figuring out how to fix all these little issues, so they are working on it. She did tell me though, the more different organizations bring it up in email,
Mhm.
the faster they'll get on it.
So if you're already an organization, then send them support and let them know that needs to be something. And I haven't looked up your organization. Do you have your teachers? Do they have a little bio on like an organization page?
The way it's set up is once you enroll, then you're able to see your teacher and their profile.
Oh, so it really is basically is you're signing up for your
Or,
organization. You don't know who you're getting as a teacher. Okay.
yeah, unless you do it, I've seen organizations start to do where each class, what they assign that teacher and that teacher. The problem is my class, the way it's run, I have 17 sections of the same class.
Mhm.
So I can't possibly say this teacher's teaching these sections and this, it would be impossible to do. So if you don't have that, and you have something smaller and only one teacher is teaching that one, class, or only teaching, you only have a few sections and only one teacher is teaching those, it's easy to do that.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, the way my classes are, they're a little different. It's a little
Okay.
easier to do. So they do need to create that, I think. If you
Mhm.
go on to we're trying to get it run to my website. So if they do go on the website, they can see all the teachers. But
Okay.
just like the long way around.
Mhm. So you would have to go there.
Mhm.
I did have on here, Hope, one person that did want to know just how to get in touch with you. And what is your website again? Brighter Days?
Yeah, but you
Is
try
that
to
easier?
it's not really.
Okay. Okay.
The
Excuse me.
like really is to message me on Messenger.
Okay. So just kind of get there. She is in the Outschool Teacher Village Facebook group. She's one of the members in there. So if you want to look her up in there as well, that would be good. Well,
And
I know Hope.
you're looking for jobs. No.
um,
Teachers for the summer.
yeah, so teachers for the summer, so that's good to know as well. And I was thinking when you were talking about that, they probably need to have some pretty high energy too, as well, when you're working with the littles like that.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah.
Oh yeah. And that's the thing. That's what I look for all those things. I don't
Mhm.
look for over the top. I prefer my teachers not to be the I don't know how to say it without being offensive.
You like mature teachers?
Well, not sure, but I've seen a lot of posts, and
Mhm.
I agree because I get it because I don't teach that way. I'm not like that. That
Mhm.
have commented that they didn't like how a lot of preschooler teachers teach them coming like from VIP kids.
Okay. Yeah, from VIP Kid. Yeah.
hmm You
Yeah.
know how you have to,
Oh, well,
oh,
you teach
stop it.
differently because it's ESL. You
Right.
teach a
And
different way.
correct. Correct. But a lot of them have brought it on to Outschool, and I've seen a lot of parents say they didn't like it. And I personally don't teach that way. I've never dealt with VIP kids, and I don't. I'm just not like that with children. Number one, and I have always talked to my children like they're little adults. So I look for certain things, of course, that I make sure of, and over the top is not me, but that's me. That's
Yes.
Everybody has a personal preference.
Well, you have that prerogative because it's your business, so you get to do that.
Exactly.
So, okay. Well, Hope, thank you. You have been so kind and generous again with your time and sharing that with other Outschool teachers. That's one of the things that I do really love about Outschool is the teachers are very helpful and positive and trying to help one another. But Hope's above and beyond on that as well, trying to help each other. But we'll let Hope go and get some dinner maybe or get some sleep. And
after I do April's curriculum real quick.
April's curriculum really quick. Okay, so she's going to go work. But thank you all for joining. And again, you can find Hope in the Outschool Teacher Village. If you're not a member, you can hop in there and you can reach out to her there if you are a teacher. And she'll look forward to talking to you. So thank you, Hope, and good evening.
Have a good
All
one.
right, you too. Bye-bye.